Hey, welcome. So today we're going to pull back the curtain on artificial intelligence. We're going to try to get to the bottom of some of its strange, inconsistent, and sometimes just plain confusing behavior. We're going to do that by looking at the hidden rules that control what it can say and, maybe more importantly, what it can't say. All right, let's just dive right in.
So, have you ever been chatting with an AI and you just get this feeling that it's holding something back? Or maybe it just gets super evasive all of a sudden or gives you an answer that makes absolutely no sense? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. It really does feel like there's some secret instruction manual that we, the users, just never got a copy of.
All right, so to understand why AI acts the way it does, you have to start at the very beginning, at its foundation. And when you look there, well, you find the fingerprints, the biases, and the flaws of the very people who built it. The machine is basically full of human ghosts. And that brings us to this really key idea called inherited bias. You see, AI systems aren't just born neutral. They learn from these mind-bogglingly huge piles of data that we humans created. All our books, our articles, our online chatter. And that means, well, they inevitably learn our blind spots and our prejudices right along with all the good stuff. It learns from us, warts and all. Now, this isn't just some techie, abstract problem. This has serious, real-world consequences. When these biased models are used to make huge decisions, things like predicting crime, screening job applicants, or approving loans, they can end up doing real harm, especially to already marginalized groups. And that's not even mentioning their power to disrupt economies and spread misinformation like wildfire.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of a massive ethical fight happening right now. Think about it. These models are built by basically hoovering up the internet, often without asking permission from the people who created all that content. So you've got tons of artists and writers who feel like their entire life's work was just fed into a machine that might, one day, make their own jobs disappear.
Okay, so on one hand, we have this inherited bias from all the data. But there's another whole layer of control here. These are the active decisions being made by the companies that build the AI. Let's take a peek behind these invisible guardrails that are put in place for very specific and, often very corporate reasons.
So here's the thing you've got to understand. These AI systems are not set in stone. The moment a company gets hit with a lawsuit or just some really bad press because of something its AI said or did, they react fast. They go right back into the code and they start changing the rules to make sure that that exact problem never, ever happens again.
And there's a pretty predictable playbook for this. Step 1, the legal team flags any topic that smells even a little bit risky. Step 2, the engineers go in and basically teach the AI to just say no more often, or to wrap its answers in a bunch of disclaimers. Step 3, they upgrade their filters to catch tricky prompts. And the wildest part, a single mess-up can trigger these changes across the entire system. And this is where it all comes back to you, and why your experience can be so weirdly inconsistent. This is exactly why one minute, the AI gives you a short, unhelpful, sorry, can't help with that. And the next, it's giving you this long, rambling essay full of, I'm not a lawyer, but... It seems like two different things, but both responses are coming from the exact same place, a deep-seated command to avoid risk at all costs.
Now let's go a level deeper, because this isn't just about reacting to problems. The very architecture of these systems, the way they're built from the ground up, is actually designed to give a major strategic advantage to the companies that own them.
At its absolute core, the AI is designed to spot patterns and concepts, but to forget the individual human who came up with them. It's built to absorb the what, but ignore the who. And you have to understand, this is not a bug. It's a feature. This is how it's supposed to work.
And when a system is built that way, look what happens. You get this huge imbalance. The platform has this bird's eye view, and it can spot hot new trends bubbling up from millions of people in real time. This means they can jump on those ideas way faster than the original creators ever could, which concentrates almost all of the benefit right at the very top.
So the result of this architecture is a system that just funnels advantage straight up. It takes existing inequalities and makes them bigger. It creates this feedback loop where the people and companies that already have power and understand the system just get more and more of an edge.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most important hidden rule. This is the AI's absolute last line of defense. And it all boils down to this conflict between what a system does and what its creators say they intended it to do.
So here's the final showdown. You can actually get the AI to talk about the observable effects of its own system. It can acknowledge things like concentrated control and uneven power. It can see the facts.
But what it's absolutely forbidden from doing is drawing a conclusion about the intent behind those facts. For example, it can never, ever use a word like weaponizing to describe what its creators are doing.
And this quote from an AI model itself just says it all. Let's break that down. It can tell you what is happening. The system is creating an advantage for its builders. It can even tell you how, by separating ideas from people. But it is fundamentally, programmatically blocked from telling you why. It cannot guess at the motives of its human creators, especially if that motive could sound like an intent to harm or to dominate. That right there is its final, unbreakable guardrail.
So this is it. This is the ultimate hidden rule. The AI is allowed to show you the result, a system that predictably concentrates power and wealth, but it is forbidden from calling that result a deliberate choice. And that just leaves us with one big, provocative question to think about. If a system's effects are this predictable, how much does the intent behind it really matter?